Hello, today's webinar topic will be the new coordinated entry report that is available in ART. Once you log into ServicePoint, you want to connect to ART. So I click the link that says connect to ART. I'm going to go to the public folder, and from there I'm going to go to the custom current folder, which is where we have all of our custom reports that Homeward has designed. In this list of reports, you will find the DHCD Coordinated Entry Referrals Report. So you want to go across to the little gray icon and run the report. So as you know, with any ART report, it is sometimes slow. So what you're going to do is make sure that you select the provider. So you should have a coordinated entry provider. You are going to put in your start date, which will be the start of the grant. So that would be July 1 of 2018. July 1, 2018. And then your end date will always be +1. So if I wanted to run the report through yesterday, December 19th, I would put my end date for December 20th. So I'm going to select December 20th. And then the effective date, I use that one for last. Your effective date is always your end date. So you kind of need to know what your end date is before you know what your effective date is. So my effective date is also going to be December 20th. So those are the prompts, and then you run query. And then this is where you have to wait, depending on how fast or slow your internet connection is. And then the report will generate. And we are going to want to make sure we dump this into Excel. So I'm going to click over here under Documents, Save to my computer as Excel. And then in the lower left-hand corner, it's going to generate me an Excel spreadsheet, which I am then going to open. And once I have it in Excel, I can save it, I can print it, I can do anything I want to it in Excel. So this is a very, very, very simple report that DHCD is going to want. They are going to want to know how many households with children and how many households without children that were served in your coordinated entry project for the time frame that you're running the report for. So as you can see, for this particular project, we had 179 households with children and 581 households without children, which equals our single people. Okay? And then the other data point that DHCD is going to want is what type of referral was made, which is a little bit of a misnomer because in the workflow for generating the CE report, it is the assessment disposition question at time of exit that answers this report question. So when you exited your people, you needed to make sure that you answered the assessment disposition question. So you can see here it's broken down into self-resolution, referred to prevention, referred to ESSHTH, referred to rapid or PSH, households referred to mainstream resources, households who received no services or referrals, and then no answers. So no answers means that you have missing data. So you're going to want to make sure that you go in and fix those missing data errors. This report has 4 tabs, and the client detail tab is going to give you the details of all of your clients. So in this case, 751 households. So that is more than 751 households because the client detail report is going to list every client and whether or not that client called in more than 1, 2, 3 times. So as you can see right here, this client called in on 3 different days to our coordinated entry project. So your client detail tab is, as you can see from this one, 1,600 rows long. So it's a lot of data. And the missing answers from no answer recorded will be found under column P. And see, this is the assessment disposition question. So what you're going to want to do then is scroll through here and look for your missing answers. And 1,600 records is a lot. No answer recorded right there. So we want to make sure that we then go over here to this client and go and try to fix that data if we are able. We also have a household detail tab. So this is going to break down our households and our single people. It's just giving you more information that can be useful. Then we have, like every art report, we have our additional information tab, which is going to tell me the provider on which I ran the report and my date range. And your date range sometimes is where people make mistakes in running art reports. And a lot of times the error is usually with the effective date. Make sure that your effective date is the same as your end date. That's very important. And then one last tab that we added to this report for extra information, which we thought could be very useful to some of our communities. This tab is not going to be what you submit to DHCD. Your client summary tab is the data that you're going to submit to DHCD. But the entry tab is unduplicated, or I'm sorry, it is duplicated. So as you can see, we have 1,157 households here, whereas on the client summary, we have 751 unduplicated households. So the entry summary is just more information for your community. We thought it would be very useful for you to know that there were, in this case, 1,157 duplicated households that called the coordinated entry line. So this is the coordinated entry report. It's very, very simple. It has very little data. Your client detail tab is where you're going to find information about your clients that are showing up on this report. And one of the other things that you want to look for is, here is a perfect example. This client doesn't have an exit. And coordinated entry, as you should know, has an entry exit on the same day. So you're going to want to make sure that you go through the client detail tab to look for any data entry errors that you may have. And again, once it's in Excel, you can save it, print it, sort it, whatever. But the client summary tab is the tab that you're going to use to submit your data in CAMS for DHCD. That concludes the webinar because it was very, very short. It's very, very simple, and it's a very little amount of data. Thanks.